Hi, welcome everyone. We're going to give everyone a couple more minutes to trickle in and then we'll get started. Michael, is the snow in your area all cleaned up after Snowmageddon 2026?
No, absolutely not. Unfortunately, all of our snow was actually mostly ice. Uh, so it's really difficult to clean up. You can literally walk across it totally fine without sinking in. That's how thick and packed down it is. So I do not envy anyone who has to dig their car out of it
Yeah.
because you would need like a pickaxe at this point. Um, and
I
so
was
it,
talking
it
to
will not be.
someone, I was talking to someone in Canada and apparently they had a polar vortex. In some
Yes, I
areas it
heard.
was negative 40 Celsius, which fun fact is the same thing as negative 40 Fahrenheit. So very cold, lots of snow. So I was like, in that perspective, I feel okay with the snow that we got.
Yes, yes. It's hard to complain when you think about the alternative there.
Okay, I think we can go ahead and just get started. Let's make sure we're recording. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Aisha Huck. I am the Senior Demand Generation Manager here at StoreSite, and I'm super excited to welcome you all to our Eyes on Execution webinar series. So today's session is going to be focusing on one of probably the most critical challenges in CPG retail execution, no stranger to any of us, on-shelf availability. Before we begin, I just wanted to get into a few quick housekeeping notes. We know everyone is super busy and we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here. So we're aiming for about 30 minutes today so that we can get you back to your busy schedules as soon as possible. And we encourage you to submit any questions at any time. There is a Q&A panel that should be at like the top right of your screen. And then at the end, I will collect them all and we'll answer them during the Q&A. If you do experience any technical issues, you can use the chat function and we'll try our best to assist you as soon as possible. And as always, a recording will be shared with all of you and all the registrants after the session. So with that, let's get started. Okay, I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker. We're joined by Michael Wade, who has spent his career working at the intersection of retail execution, analytics, and operations. Michael works very closely with CPG teams just like yours on how to turn shelf data into better decisions in the field. And today he's going to be sharing what he sees across leading organizations when it comes to managing on-shelf availability more proactively. Michael, we're so glad to have you with us today. For those of you new to us, StoreSite is an AI-powered retail intelligence platform focused on improving retail execution at scale. So we combine a large national shopper network with computer vision and analytics to capture millions of shelf images across tens of thousands of stores. So our platform then converts those images into structured data on availability, facings, pricings, competitive presence, giving CPG teams a near real-time view of what's actually happening at the shelf. Our goal is to help sales, category, and execution teams move faster, align around the same shelf signals, and ultimately protect revenue through better on-shelf performance. So, Michael, I suspect that our audience is very aware of the importance of OSA, but from your perspective, why is OSA such a challenge?
Well, thank you first for the wonderful introduction, Aisha. It's a great opportunity to be here and to kind of share my thoughts on why OSA is so important and how we approach it here at StoreSite. So when people talk about winning at the shelf, what they really mean is that when a shopper reaches for the product, it's there in the right spot at the right time. And OSA really is about winning that moment of truth where all of the strategy, the media, and the trade spend, it's either turning into a sale or it's a missed opportunity. And the challenge that we see is that traditional systems often say that a product is in stock or an item is there when it's actually sitting in the back room, it's misshelved, it's simply not present where the shopper expects it. And that disconnect between inventory data and the on shelf reality is what creates phantom inventory. It can lead to lost sales and ultimately the erosion of shopper loyalty as they have other choices to make as they're making their journey down a aisle. Most CPG teams are really flying partially blind when it comes to OSA, particularly at scale. And you might see a dip in the POS or a spike in some out of stock codes, but you don't know if the real problem is a true supply issue, is it bad replenishment, incorrect tags, or product that never made it to the right peg or slot to begin with. And that lack of visibility really makes it hard to answer basic questions like, is the item actually on the shelf right now? Is it in the right section? And does it have the right number of facings? Are the tags correct? Or is there an error causing the product to disappear for both shoppers or in-store staff? And without the real shelf level confirmation, teams often pull pricing, they pull assortment or promotion levers, and these are meant to fix what is ultimately and fundamentally an execution problem.
So, Michael, I know you talk to a lot of our clients, and you're in the platform all the time. How are you seeing our CPG clients using our platform to address these OSA gaps?
Yeah, great question. So brands engage a store site in two main ways. First, through focused OSA and execution audits where they need fast answers to very specific questions. Second, through ongoing access to our store site platform, which gives always on visibility to on the shelf availability reports, display execution, pricing launches, and competitors all in one place. That means that OSA is not just like a one-time study or a one-time report. It's a continuous operational metric that you can engage with on a day-to-day basis. So when we talk about on-shelf availability at store site, what we're really talking about is, how does a shopper interact with your product, with your brand in the store, right? Our OSA views combine image-based confirmation of presence with measures like facings, tag status, and visible inventory on the shelf. So you're not just getting a binary, is it in stock, out of stock as a flag, you're really being able to make some judgments based on the data that's presented. That's really important because OSA problems really do come in a lot of different flavors. And we see this a lot in just looking at the photos and the planogram of data that comes into our system. There are true out of stocks where the space is empty. There's phantom out of stocks where tags are wrong or items are mislocated. And soft availability issues, which we see quite a bit, where the product is present, but it's faced poorly, it's hidden high or low, or it's really squeezed into a crowded section. You begin to kind of lose its presence on a shelf. Distinguishing between these scenarios is what lets teams fix the real root cause of instead of just treating every issue as a replenishment problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think let's give the people what they want. Can we maybe hop into the platform and share with the audience how exactly all of this works?
Absolutely. Let me share my screen, and I have really a couple of quick insights here that will, I think, be interesting. So I looked at our share of shelf, or not share, excuse me, our on-shelf availability, and I pulled up some really interesting thoughts here, and I wanted to share that with everybody. What's happening under the hood is that our field network captures photos of specific sets of shelves and items according to your targeting. We can see if it's by retailer, by banner. We have region, store list, and category as well. And these are really powerful ways of starting to really understand the dynamics of your shelf availability. Our AI then detects the brands, it counts facings, it reads tags and flags whether or not the item is visible and available in its expected location. From there, your teams can see OSA in intuitive dashboards like this one. You can see retailer by retailer status, banner level performance, and trend lines over time. You can filter by key retailers here at the bottom to really see where availability is healthy and maybe where you're consistently missing at the moment of truth. Right here. This always on model really allows teams to spot patterns early, like chronic out of stocks on certain products in certain regions where availability may lag, or execution drops after resets or promotions. This really helps you turn OSA into a live performance indicator instead of a backward-looking diagnostic. This is a really great view here. I've always enjoyed this, mostly because it does give you a sense of the trend over time. by a specific retailer. So we can see here which retailers tend to perform better and which ones may be struggling over time. However, we also know that OSA doesn't live in isolation. It's tightly linked to things like distribution, facings, pricing, promotions, and competitive pressure. Inside StoreSight, you can overlay OSA with various metrics such as share of shelf, price, and display execution. So you can really see whether a problem is about your inventory, your space, or potentially a competitor grabbing visibility. I wanted to share, how OSA really looks within the platform here, right? So this is a great example where you're looking at a photo, and we can see here the platform is able to identify here through our stock levels where we're potentially missing out on. We can see the total availability here and really start to understand where those gaps are appearing. This also becomes very powerful when we look at planograms. And here we can see, for example, that this is a good example of a planogram that's well stocked. The filtering options in StoreSight give us the ability to identify planograms that are at a high, low, medium, or mixed level. And coming back to our dashboard, we can see how we categorize those. So for example, good are shelves that are 90% or more in stock. Okay shelves, we say, are around 70% or more, and poor is a shelf that has less than 70% of its potential facings filled. We see people use this in some really interesting ways. And so there's the option here to have certain filters around your high, your low, medium, and mixed.
Michael, I think you're getting into it, but can you maybe share some examples or use cases of how our CPG clients have used the platform to address those issues?
Yeah, and I was absolutely getting there. So really what we typically see our users do in a very common format is they will start here, and this will start to inform either, hey, I need to go look at a certain banner, or I maybe have questions about what's happening in my my stores. And from here, we use this filter. And this is great because this really does give teams to think, I want to see what my execution looks like when it's done really well. Or maybe do I want to focus on opportunities where I need to put more effort in? And so in practice, OSA teams use these insights in a few repeatable ways, right? They're using it to prioritize their store and retailer outreach, focusing limited field and broker resources where their availability problems are frequent and costly, as you would see here with a low and medium. Or they're using the photo evidence and metrics in joint business planning to highlight where better basics such as tag accuracy, shelf maintenance, replenishment can unlock incremental volume without major resets. Thirdly, they tend to feed these OSA learnings back into assortment, packaging, and merchandising decisions to design sets that are easier to keep in stock and shop. And that's really where we see a lot of people use these high stock levels. This is going to be somewhere where they can say, what does my best case scenario look like here?
Awesome. All right. Well, appreciate the demo. I'll go ahead and switch back to mine. Michael, how do you, everything that you went over, how do you feel this compares to traditional store checks?
Yeah, traditional store checks, they're expensive, right? They're slow and they're very limited in scale. It's very difficult to get to a wide number of stores in a very timely manner. By the time a small team visits enough locations to feel confident in their data set, those conditions have already changed. StoreSight's combination of a large shopper network and our AI lets you see thousands of stores in days with consistent quality control data and images instead of scattered photos and email threads. With everything here lands in a single system that your teams can share across sales, category insights, and marketing.
I'd love to get a little bit into the feedback that you've heard from customers on like the benefits that they've experienced by having this kind of like real-time, always-on retail intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. So for CPG brands, strong OSA availability and visibility shows up in a few concrete ways. It leads mostly to fewer lost sales from empty or mis-executed shelves. It's one of the best ways that it could come up. But it also leads to faster detection of systemic issues, which enables things like better use of your trade and your field resources, as well as improved retailer conversations, because you're walking in with clear store level evidence instead of anecdotes or delayed months old POS trend reports. And so really that ability to say this is the execution that has been seen in this store in a recent time frame is really a very powerful tool in those conversations. And over time, integrating OSA into your broader retail intelligence rhythm really helps brands move from the reactive firefighting that we tend to see a lot into becoming much more proactive, where continuous improvement of the in-store fundamentals is really the goal. That means shoppers are more likely to find what they came for, retailers are more consistent with their performance, and brands really do capture the full value of the demand that they work so hard to create.
Yeah, I think key takeaway here is OSA, when managed proactively, really it's a driver of continuous improvement and not just a way to track problems after the fact. Well, thank you, Michael, so much for all your time and insights. I think you've definitely given our audience some new thoughts on how to address this ongoing execution challenge for so many. We're now going to open it up for your questions. Please remember, you can submit questions using the Q&A box, and if you can't find that, you can drop it into the chat. If we don't get to your question today, we'll definitely be following up after the session. So let me just open it up and we can start with our first question. Michael, what categories are available on StoreSight?
Great question. So we are really working hard to roll out OSA categories as quickly as we can. We have a pretty good number available right now, but as we continue to look at new categories, continuing to train our AI models on them, we are always looking for kind of the prioritization. So if you don't see it today, that would be an indication that you should reach out to an account executive or your customer success manager, say, hey, we would really love to see this in our categories, and that will definitely make sure that we get to them sooner rather than later. We're adding currently about 10 to 15 every month, and so we do expect us to continue to see more and more, but if you really can't wait, please let us know and we'll be happy to make sure that they're available for you sooner rather than later.
Perfect. All right, I want to be mindful of time. Okay, question 2. How does our AI know when the product is out of stock?
No, that's also a really great question. So we actually have 3 different models, and our AI works on a lot of different levels. And so what our AI is doing is it's first identifying facings and locations where it would expect a product to be on a shelf through a number of very complex algorithms where we're detecting those facings. And then based on the text recognition and object recognition algorithms that we've developed, we're able to identify, hey, like there's a brand box and a facing that's missing in that brand box. And typically we expect this, right? Where you would see if there's a bunch of brand products on a shelf and in the middle of that there's a gap, it's pretty good assumption that that is probably a brand section that's missing something. So we use a lot of kind of these AI-driven algorithms and machine learning to continue to refine it, and that's part of the reason why it does take some time for us to add new categories, right? With different packaging, different shelf styles, we always want to make sure that to continue to deliver high-quality data, we're really taking the time to do it
right. Okay, and then we'll do one more question. What do you mean by always on? So I guess, Michael, like how fresh are the photos? Like how soon can people see this? Like what does it really mean to be always on?
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal, and we're really, really good about hitting our goal, is to have same day. So when that photo is taken, typically as long as it's taken kind of towards by midday, we would expect to see that photo processed and available for viewing in the app that same day. Typically, if it's taken later in the evening or overnight, that process will be done in the morning because there is some QA that we do on these photos to make sure that they meet our standards. We actually have done some really great work in the last few weeks, and we have now reduced our processing time for this process as well as others from about an hour, or a little bit over, to as low as 30 seconds. So I now believe that even over the weekend, where we typically have seen some delays on getting data out on a Monday, where you might see it towards the afternoon, we're now going to be able to have data from the weekends available by lunchtime on Mondays. And so that's a sign of us continuing to invest in the platform, continuing to invest in the product, and continuing to invest in resources to make sure that the data is always on and should be same day or better.
Awesome. I think that was all we had for questions. So thank you everyone for the questions. And of course, thank you, Michael, so much for the discussion today. That brings us to the close of our Q&A and as well as the close of today's session. That was our overview of how StoreSight helps CPG teams understand and improve on-shelf availability by turning those real shelf photos into actionable insights at scale. So if you're seeing unexplained gaps between demand and sales, or you don't fully trust your current view of what's happening at the shelf, OSA monitoring may be the missing link. So we'd love to connect and show you real examples from your categories and the retails that you care about. You can find us at storesight.com, or you can quickly schedule a demo and discuss a targeted OSA audit tailored to your priorities. Thank you again for joining us for today's Eyes on Execution webinar. Thank you again to Michael. Next month, we'll be sharing some super exciting news on the topic of share of shelf. So we'll hope to see you again there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.